Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to dive deep into the topic of what it truly means to be a weak man. As we explore this subject, I want to remind you that weakness does not simply refer to lack of physical strength. Instead, we must recognize that true strength lies in emotional resilience, self-awareness, and the willingness to confront our own vulnerabilities. In today's discourse on masculinity, it is vital to begin by redefining the concept of weakness beyond the traditional understanding of physical frailty or ineptitude. Often, when we hear the term weak man, images of someone who is timid, afraid, or incapable come to mind. However, this perspective is not only outdated, but also fundamentally misleading. Weakness is typically perceived as a lack of strength, but we must explore the multifaceted nature of what it means to be weak in the context of emotional and psychological health. At its core, true weakness involves a failure to acknowledge and confront one's emotional state. Society often pressures men to adopt a stoic demeanor, teaching them from a young age that expressing vulnerability is a sign of failure. There is this pervasive narrative that encourages boys to suppress their feelings, to act like a man, and to avoid what some may call soft emotions, sadness, fear, or uncertainty. Yet in doing so, many men unwittingly isolate themselves, creating a rift between their internal experiences and the external world around them. This dynamic of repression leads to a myriad of consequences. Not only are men more likely to experience mental health issues such as anxiety and depression, but they also miss out on essential life skills rooted in emotional awareness, such as empathy, communication, and connection. This emotional disconnect can manifest in personal relationships, making it difficult for men to relate to those close to them, especially women. When men perceive emotions as a sign of weakness, they may struggle to build intimate, meaningful connections with their partners. They might find themselves hesitating to share their thoughts during profound moments, but instead resort to silence or avoidance. This can lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and even alienation in relationships. Women often find themselves shouldering the burden of not only their emotional needs, but also trying to navigate their partner's unexpressed feelings. The unavailability that arises from a man's emotional repression prevents a true partnership from flourishing, as both parties may feel marginalized in their experiences. Furthermore, when discussing weakness, we must acknowledge how societal constructs of masculinity elevate certain traits while devaluing others. Characteristics such as aggression, competitiveness, and stoicism are often celebrated in men, while qualities such as compassion, vulnerability, and emotional depth are deemed unworthy. This context creates a challenging environment where men feel compelled to conform to a narrow definition of masculinity that does not accommodate emotional complexity. Imagine the power of shifting that narrative. What if we understood that acknowledging our emotions is not a symbol of weakness, but rather a hallmark of maturity and authenticity? When men can identify, articulate, and express their feelings, they not only enhance their own mental well-being, but also become better partners, friends, and fathers. They build a foundation of trust and emotional safety that enhances relational dynamics. In opposition to being perceived as weak, men who courageously face their vulnerabilities embody a strength that others will admire and respect. Moreover, embracing this emotional vulnerability can cultivate strong role models for future generations. When young boys witness men openly discussing their emotions, expressing their fears, and seeking help, they learn that it is perfectly acceptable to be human. It is okay to be imperfect. This shift in perception can eradicate the damaging stigma surrounding mental health and foster an environment where emotional literacy is valued over outdated stereotypes. However, this transformation cannot occur if we merely scratch the surface of the problem. It demands an ongoing commitment to fostering emotional awareness and resilience within ourselves and advocating for others. It requires conversations, open dialogues, and most importantly, the dismantling of harmful myths surrounding masculinity. In this journey, it is of utmost importance to create safe spaces where men can learn to express themselves without judgment. Supportive networks, be they friendships, community groups, or online platforms, can enable men to practice sharing their thoughts and emotions in a way that feels safe. Ultimately, these connections will empower men to understand that reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness, but rather an invitation to grow, heal, and connect on a deeper level. In conclusion, we must redefine our understanding of weakness within the context of modern masculinity. In doing so, we pave the way for men to embrace their vulnerabilities, fostering more meaningful connections with themselves and others. When we grant men the permission to be authentic, we challenge the archaic norms of masculinity, promoting a healthier, more emotionally aware society that values both men and women alike. By championing emotional awareness, we can shift the narrative toward a future built on understanding, compassion, and strength and vulnerability. In this evolving landscape, we will find that true masculinity is not about negating emotion, but embracing it wholly and transforming perceived weakness into profound strength. To truly grasp the impact of weakness in men on women, we must dive deep into the intricate layers of emotional dynamics within relationships. At the heart of this understanding is the idea that when men fail to recognize and confront their vulnerabilities, it can create significant repercussions for the women who share their lives. This influence manifests in various dimensions, impacting emotional health, relational functionality, and the overall environment in which both partners operate. Firstly, one cannot overlook the emotional burden placed on women when their partners are unable or unwilling to express their feelings. In a relationship, emotional sharing fosters intimacy and connection. When men withhold their emotions or struggle to articulate them, it leaves women to navigate the emotional landscape alone, creating a disconnect that can be incredibly isolating. Women often find themselves in the position of deciphering their partner's feelings, checking for signs of distress or unhappiness, and attempting to fill the emotional gap created by their partner's silence. This can lead to a cycle of anxiety and frustration, as the woman may feel that her own emotions are secondary or unimportant in the face of her partner's unvoiced struggles. Furthermore, the absence of emotional communication can engender a sense of distrust. Trust is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship, and when one partner is emotionally unavailable, it can create an atmosphere riddled with uncertainty. Women might begin to doubt whether their partners are truly invested in the relationship or whether they are hiding their feelings out of fear or shame. This lack of transparency can spiral into insecurity, leading to questions about commitment and loyalty, which can introduce conflict into the partnership. As this tension grows, it can impair the woman's ability to express her own needs and desires. In a relationship where one partner is consistently emotionally distant, the other may find herself instinctively suppressing her feelings, believing that her emotional needs are less significant. Over time, this can lead to a dangerous imbalance where one partner's emotional landscape overshadows the other's, creating an unhealthy dynamic rife with resentment and unfulfilled needs. Women may feel compelled to act as caretakers, focusing on their partner's issues to the detriment of their own emotional health, often leading to feelings of burnout or emotional depletion. On a broader scale, the emotional withdrawal of men can perpetuate societal norms that devalue women's experiences. If men are taught to view emotion as a weakness, the broader societal narrative can diminish the legitimacy of women's feelings and experiences as well. Women often bear the burden of emotional labor, not just in their personal lives, but across workplaces and social settings. They are frequently expected to accommodate others' emotions, leading to an imbalance of emotional responsibility. When men avoid engaging with their feelings, they inadvertently uphold a societal structure that can marginalize women's emotional needs, forcing them to continue advocating for their voices to be heard. In addition, consider the ripple effect this dynamic creates in nurturing future generations. Children absorb the behaviors and attitudes of their parents, and when they witness their fathers struggling to articulate emotions or being emotionally volatile, those children, regardless of gender, may internalize a distorted view of emotional expression. Sons may grow up believing that emotional repression is the norm, perpetuating cycles of silence and disconnection. Daughters may learn to view men through a lens of emotional unavailability, affecting their expectations and relationships with men, often leading to poor relationship choices or a reluctance to enter into partnerships altogether. Indeed, it's essential to recognize that fostering emotional strength in men has far-reaching implications not just for individual relationships, but also for societal transformation. As men increasingly embrace their ability to articulate emotions and confront vulnerabilities, they send powerful messages to women and children alike. Women will feel a renewed sense of safety and connection, understanding that their partners are not bound by outdated notions of masculinity. They will be able to engage in relationships that prioritize empathy and mutual respect, paving the way for deeper emotional connections. Moreover, empowered men who embrace emotional awareness can also become allies in advocating for the mental health of women. They can stand alongside women in fighting against societal stigmas that diminish emotional expression. When men demonstrate that vulnerability is strength, they recalibrate the norms around masculinity, championing an inclusive narrative that elevates all experiences rather than suppressing them. Ultimately, the need for men to confront and acknowledge their weaknesses goes beyond personal growth. It is a crucial element in reshaping our social fabric, influencing how women experience their lives, their relationships, and ultimately their own empowerment. By embracing emotional authenticity, men can dismantle barriers that have long confined both genders to rigid roles, promoting a partnership grounded in equality, understanding, and collaborative growth. The journey towards emotional awareness is transformative, not just for men, but for women and society as a whole. By fostering environments that nurture emotional expression, we not only uplift individual relationships, but also contribute to a cultural shift that honors vulnerability as a critical component of true strength. In doing so, we create a world where both men and women can thrive, free to embrace their authentic selves and nurture connections rooted in real understanding and empathy. Together we can forge a future where the powerful exchange of emotions enriches every interaction, deepens every connection, and ultimately transforms the world we inhabit. The exploration of how weakness manifests as emotional turbulence in men reveals an ongoing struggle not only within individuals, but also throughout entire societies. Emotional turbulence is often characterized by unpredictable mood swings, difficulty regulating feelings, and explosive outbursts that can disrupt relationships and social structures. This volatility stems from an inability or unwillingness to confront and articulate feelings, which creates a cascading effect that can hinder personal growth, affect family dynamics, and shape societal perceptions of masculinity. At the individual level, men experiencing emotional turbulence frequently find themselves trapped in a cycle of internal conflict. Their inability to express and process emotions can lead to heightened frustration, which may result in outbursts or withdrawal from loved ones. These emotional reactions often create a volatile environment, causing loved ones, partners, friends, and family to navigate a minefield of unpredictability. The frustration and confusion that arise from this turbulence can lead to strained relationships, as individuals around the troubled man may grapple with feelings of inadequacy, helplessness, or resentment. One critical aspect of this emotional turbulence is its impact on communication, the foundation of any healthy relationship. Effective communication requires a certain level of emotional awareness and the ability to express feelings constructively. When men are unable to articulate their emotional experiences, they may resort to shouting, withdrawing, or numbing their feelings altogether. This lack of effective communication not only distances them from their partners who crave connection, but also cultivates misunderstandings and conflict. Partners may feel rejected or estranged, leading to a breakdown of trust and intimacy in the relationship. Beyond personal interactions, this pattern can take a toll on family life. Children, even at a young age, are keen observers, and they absorb the emotional dynamics that play out in their households. If a father exhibits emotional turbulence, whether through erratic behavior, moodiness, or explosive anger, his children may internalize the belief that emotions are to be feared or repressed. They might learn to mimic this behavior, perpetuating a cycle of emotional dysregulation that affects generations to come. Implications can be profound, as these children may struggle with their own emotional health later in life, impacting their own relationships and urgency to seek help when needed. Furthermore, this emotional volatility can influence not only immediate family dynamics, but also social interactions and community engagement. Men exhibiting turbulence may withdraw or struggle to maintain friendships, leading to isolation. This retreat from social circles prevents them from receiving support and understanding, further exacerbating their emotional difficulties. As their networks shrink, so does their ability to engage meaningfully with the world, leading to potential feelings of loneliness and despair. In the broader societal context, emotional turbulence in men reinforces harmful stereotypes about masculinity and perpetuates cycles of aggression and emotional suppression. When men are conditioned to view emotion as a sign of weakness, they might lash out in order to assert control over their feelings, leading to outbursts of anger or frustration. directed at others. This volatility reinforces outdated norms that equate masculinity with dominance and aggressiveness and serves to perpetuate cycles of violence or emotional abuse. Such behaviors can contribute to a culture that not only undervalues emotional expression, but also fails to hold men accountable for their actions. These patterns create barriers to mental health awareness and emotional support for men. As men continue to struggle with their emotions internally, they often shy away from seeking help, fearing judgment or vulnerability. This reluctance to access mental health resources exacerbates the issues at hand and can result in dramatic consequences, affecting not just the individual, but the public health landscape as well. As we look to transform the narrative around masculinity and emotional expression, it is crucial to build healthier frameworks that prioritize emotional literacy and resilience. The first step in this transformation is encouraging men to recognize and accept their feelings as a natural part of the human experience. To foster environments where open conversations about emotional challenges are normalized, men must be given access to tools and resources that promote emotional regulation and self-reflection. This might include therapy, support groups, or workshops focused on emotional intelligence. Men can also benefit from open dialogues with partners and friends, encouraging them to share their emotional landscapes without fear of judgment. Encouraging vulnerability can create deeper connections and promote healing, challenging the conventional views of emotional strength. As men increasingly embrace vulnerability, they can set positive examples for future generations. By fostering emotional awareness and nurturing healthy relationships, they contribute to a cultural shift that values compassion and understanding over repression and aggression. In conclusion, the turbulence stemming from emotional weakness in men poses challenges that impact personal relationships, family dynamics, and society as a whole. By confronting and addressing these emotional struggles, men can break free from the chains of volatility and foster environments rooted in connection and empathy. Developing emotional resilience not only enriches male identity, but also leads to healthier relationships with partners, children, and society. Acknowledging and discussing these themes encourages men to redefine what it means to be strong, allowing them to embrace a holistic understanding of masculinity that honors emotional depth as a benevolent force and not a weakness. Through transformative change, we can work collectively to create supportive communities that inspire not just men, but everyone to engage authentically in their emotional journeys. Equitz's emotional volatility in men extend far beyond individual experiences, shaping societal norms and reinforcing harmful stereotypes about masculinity. When society contextualizes masculinity through a lens of emotional suppression and turbulence, it cultivates an environment where vulnerabilities are stigmatized, leading to an array of detrimental outcomes for both men and women. This pervasive culture not only impacts personal relationships, but also affects broader communities, creating a cycle of misunderstanding and disconnection. One of the most significant repercussions of emotional turbulence in men is its impact on interpersonal relationships. When men are unable or unwilling to express their feelings constructively, the resultant confusion and frustration can be profound. Partners may find themselves in a constant state of uncertainty. They may question their worth or the stability of the relationship, leading to heightened anxiety and emotional distress. As battles of miscommunication unfold, emotional intimacy diminishes. Healthy partnerships depend on a mutual understanding and sharing of feelings, and when one partner remains emotionally volatile, it becomes increasingly challenging to build a solid connection. For women, this emotional tumult can lead to feelings of isolation and helplessness. When their partners exhibit unpredictable emotional behaviors, such as anger or withdrawal, it can force women to second-guess their actions and feelings. They may feel the need to tread cautiously around their partners, attempting to stabilize the emotional climate while suppressing their own needs and concerns. This uneven dynamic can lead to resentment over time, as women might feel they are shouldering the burden of the relationship's emotional management. Moreover, the emotional volatility in men can create a cycle of negative reinforcement. When a partner reacts poorly to emotional expression, it can lead men to internalize the belief that vulnerability is dangerous or leads to rejection. This reinforces a pattern where emotional struggles are silenced, perpetuating a cycle of suppression that can be hard to break. Instead of cultivating a safe space for emotional exchange, couples may inadvertently reinforce the idea that emotional expression is a precursor to conflict, making both partners reluctant to engage. The societal implications of these dynamics are vast. Norms surrounding masculinity often glorify stoicism, resilience, and dominance, while discouraging vulnerability and emotionality. This creates a cultural landscape that can lead men to perceive emotional expression as weakness, contributing to further isolation and adversity. Men who grapple with their feelings may fear judgment not only from women, but also from other men, leading them to withdraw from discussions about mental health, personal challenges, and emotional experiences. This culture can obstruct meaningful connections and prevent men from developing supportive communities that could help them navigate their emotional landscapes. Furthermore, the emotional turbulence that arises from repressed feelings can lead to harmful behaviors. Men who struggle with emotional expression may act out in various ways, through aggression, substance abuse, or withdrawal from social circles, creating broader repercussions for their mental health. Anger, often seen as an acceptable emotion for men, can manifest in physical or emotional violence, affecting not just romantic partners, but also friends, family members, and colleagues. These patterns can perpetuate cycles of abuse and dysfunction that continue from one generation to the next. The challenges posed by emotional volatility extend to the workplace as well. In professional environments, men who struggle with emotional regulation may inadvertently project their frustrations onto colleagues, leading to an atmosphere of tension and mistrust. When sensitive issues arise, these men might react defensively rather than engaging in constructive dialogue, resulting in unresolved conflicts and lowered morale. Emotional turbulence in the workplace can stifle collaboration and innovation, as colleagues may become hesitant to share ideas or provide feedback in fear of provoking an explosive reaction. Recognizing the importance of emotional intelligence is crucial to mitigating these consequences. Emotional intelligence encompasses the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions while also empathizing with the emotions of others. When men cultivate emotional intelligence, they can break the cycle of volatility and foster healthier relationships, both personally and professionally. This emotional skill set provides men the tools they need to engage authentically with their feelings and communicate more effectively. Encouraging emotional literacy is vital, particularly for younger generations. By promoting open discussions about emotions and mental health, children can learn to embrace vulnerability as a healthy aspect of being human. Educational systems, families, and communities can work together to break down barriers surrounding emotional expression, ensuring that boys grow up understanding emotions as normal and powerful facets of their identity. This approach champions the idea that being emotionally aware is a vital strength rather than a weakness. Moreover, the responsibility to challenge societal norms falls on everyone. Men should be encouraged to share their feelings and seek support when needed, while women can support their partners by creating an open dialogue where both feel safe in expressing vulnerabilities. Additionally, communities at large must work to deconstruct damaging stereotypes by promoting positive representations of masculinity that celebrate emotional depth, empathy, and resilience. Ultimately, addressing the consequences of emotional volatility in men requires a collective effort to redefine masculinity in more inclusive and supportive ways. By creating a culture that values emotional expression and mental health, we can empower men to overcome their internal struggles and foster healthier, more egalitarian relationships. This not only benefits individual men, but also paves the way for healthier interactions across all aspects of society. Embracing a holistic understanding of masculinity will not only help men thrive, but also enrich the lives of those around them, contributing to a more compassionate and connected world. By transforming the narrative surrounding emotions, we can initiate a paradigm shift that values honesty, mutual support, and empathy, a change that will resonate across generations, making emotional intelligence and vulnerability strengths that benefit everyone.